Hi everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will guide you on how to fill out the Certificate of Eligibility form. Just a reminder though, there are many kinds of COE forms depending on the purpose of entry here in Japan. So for now, I will guide you on how to fill out the COE form for dependents. So I am a foreign worker here in Japan, and when I got my husband from the Philippines, this is how we filled out his application form. So if you are also a foreign worker like me and you want to get your spouse or your children from your home country, please keep on watching. Before we start, I would like to answer some commonly asked questions. First, whose information should be written on the COE application form? It would be the dependent's or the applicant's information. Cite our case as an example. I, who is living in Japan, is considered as the sponsor or the supporter. Meanwhile, my husband, who is in the Philippines, is the dependent or the applicant. Where do you apply for the COE? The application of the COE should be done in Japan, so on my husband's behalf, I, who is living in Japan, will submit his application forms and documents in the immigration office. Once his COE gets approved, I will send the COE to the Philippines for him to process his visa. Who will fill out the application form? It could be filled out by the applicant himself or herself and send the form together with the required documents through international courier. And again, on the applicant's behalf, the sponsor living in Japan will submit it at the immigration office. However, in our case, what we did when my husband applied for COE, it was I, as his legal representative, who filled out the form with his information since I already have the other documents needed. Just a reminder, my husband is already here in Japan with me, but for example purposes, I will write his information on the application form as a dependent as if he is still in the Philippines. So let's begin. How to fill out the COE application form for dependents. First, attach the picture with 40 mm by 30 mm measurement. However, before pasting it, make sure that at the back of the picture, the applicant's name and birthday are written. Proceeding to number 1, nationality or region. Example is Philippines. Number 2, since this is my husband's application form, we will write his birth date, 1990, January 1st. Third, his name, last name, then first. Fourth is his gender, which is male. Followed by his place of birth, Baguio City. 6 is his marital status, which is married. For number 7, this is his current occupation while applying for the COE. So we wrote here farmer. 8 is his hometown, Bauco Mountain Province. For number 9, this would be his address once he comes here in Japan. So since he will live with me, it would be my address. Kaisei 1, Chome 234, City Palace 205, Sukagawa City, Fukushima 900 1234. Moving on, if he has telephone number, please write it down, but if there is none, write none. My husband only has a Philippine number, so we wrote it anyway. 63966123457. Number 10, his passport number and its expiration date. Number 11, for the purpose of entry, we have to choose one. So since he will be a dependent, we will choose letter R. For numbers 12 and 13, these are just estimate date of him coming in Japan and the port of entry. You do not have to reserve for a flight ticket in advance. For number 12, I would advise you to write a date 3 months after your date of application. because COEs are usually approved within 1 to 3 months depending on the Ministry of Justice, which approves the COE request. Do not worry, if you get the COE immediately and is able to apply for a visa successfully, then the dependent can fly here to Japan even before or after the date you have written on number 12. So in our example, this application would be passed this month, so we have written 2023 March 1st as his date of entry. Same as number 13, you may write a temporary port of entry, which may be changed on the actual arrival of the dependent. For number 14, for the intended length of stay of the applicant, it would depend on the length of stay of the sponsor or the supporter in Japan. So as his sponsor, since I am here for 3 years, we also wrote his intended length of stay as 3 years. Number 15, if there is an accompanying person, encircle yes. If there is none, please encircle no. I guess this is applicable if the applicant is minor or children. They might be accompanied by adults, so if so, encircle yes. In my husband's case, he doesn't need any accompany, so we encircled no. Number 16 is the intended place to apply for a visa. So it is our home country, the Philippines. Number 17, pass entry in Japan if there is. So my husband became a trainee in Japan way back 2019. So we also put here how many times and the date from and to when he was here. If the applicant has never been here in Japan, then just circle no. Number 18, past history for applying for COE. If it isn't the first time, then encircle yes and write the details. So since it is my husband's first time to apply, we wrote no. Number 19 is criminal record in Japan or overseas, which include traffic violations. So please encircle yes and explain if there are, but if there is none, encircle no. Number 20, departure by deportation if there are. Please encircle yes and explain if there is, but if there is none, please encircle no. Number 21, family in Japan. Father, mother, spouse, children, siblings, aunt, uncle, or any relative. Since he would be living with me, we encircled yes, and then he wrote my information as his spouse. So my name, birth date, home country, intended to reside with the applicant or not, my place of employment, and the resident certificate number. So first page is done. For the second page, there is no need to submit this page, but let me just show you anyways. So this is about the purpose of the applicant's entry in Japan. So it is easy. We'll just find number 12. It is where dependent's label is found, so we will just check letter R. Third page. Number 22 is about marriage, birth, or adoption. So this depends on the applicant. So if it is about your spouse as a dependent, then the marriage info would be written. If it is your children, then it is the birth information. So here we wrote our marriage information. So Japanese authorities is none because we got married in the Philippines. So date of registration is also none. For number 2, foreign authorities, we wrote where we got married. When we had a civil wedding at the office of the mayor of Tublay, Benguet, then the date of our marriage. For number 23, method of support. This answers how the applicant supports herself or himself. So here we just ticked the guarantor. Number 24. This is now the information of the applicant or legal representative or the authorized representative who will submit the application to the immigration. So here, since I will submit this form and the required documents on his behalf, I wrote my name, telephone number, which is none, and my phone number. I am also the one who signed and wrote the date of filing for the COE. Last page is about the applicant and the supporters or sponsors information. So number 1, it's the name of the applicant. So again, my husband's name. Number 2 is my information as his supporter. So first is name, date of birth, my nationality, residence card number, status of residence, my period of stay here in Japan, date of expiration. Number 8, my relationship with the applicant. So I am his spouse, so I ticked wife. For number 9, this would be about my employer, Global Kids Academy. Number 10 will be coming from the sponsors or supporters employer. So if you are the sponsor, ask your employer what your company's or corporation's number is. Number 11, name of branch. I wrote Education Division because it is the division where I am currently working at. Number 12, address and telephone number of the principal's employer of the supporter. So in my case, it is the address and the telephone number of Global Kids Academy. Lastly would be the annual income of the supporter. So a lot of applicants are quite nervous and are asking how much should a supporter have as an annual income. But the Ministry of Justice and the Immigration do not actually have standard annual income of what the sponsor should have. So just honestly write the supporter's annual income. Lastly, I as the supporter or guarantor signed and wrote the date of application. So that's the end of the video. I hope this video helps you, and for more videos like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell below so that you will be updated in our upcoming videos. Have a nice day!